Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the world of mycology, but not just as a science. We're looking at it as a business. And you know what? It's a surprisingly profitable one that you can start in some forgotten corner of your own home. We're going to turn that unused space into a real source of income.
So, just think about your place for a second. Almost all of us have that one spot, right? A corner in the garage, a closet, a basement. It's just there. It's probably collecting dust, filled with stuff we don't even remember we own.
But what if I told you that exact space holds the key to a thriving urban farm? Yeah, you heard me. We're going to break down exactly how to transform that empty square footage into a seriously profitable side hustle.
And just to give you a little taste of the potential here, look at this number. $50 per pound. That's what certain dried mushrooms like the amazing lion's mane can go for. And no, that is not a typo. The profit potential is absolutely incredible.
Okay, so let's get right into it. First things first, we got to understand why gourmet mushrooms are such a booming market. Why is this such a golden opportunity, especially right now? Well, the demand for specialty mushrooms is just exploding. I mean, it's surging. This crazy growth is being fueled by health-conscious folks and this huge shift towards vegan and plant-based diets, where mushrooms are like a superstar meat substitute. This isn't just some passing trend, it's a massive market shift.
Are you convinced yet? Good, because now we get to the fun part. Let's look at the surprisingly simple list of stuff you'll need to get started. I promise it's way less intimidating than you might think.
So get that image of a sterile lab with scientists in white coats out of your head. You don't need all that. Just think of it like this. The culture syringe, that's your seeds. It's got the living mushroom genetics. The grow bag, that's your nutrient-packed soil. Alcohol is your shield against germs. And the spray bottle, well, that's for making it rain. Simple, right?
For your very first grow, trust me, an all-in-one grow bag is the undisputed champion of simplicity. Why? Because it completely removes the hardest, most failure-prone step for beginners, sterilizing the substrate, which is just the food your mushrooms eat. The pros do it for you, which just skyrockets your chances of a successful first harvest.
All right, you've got your gear. Now let's look at the mushroom life cycle. It is a totally fascinating process, and if you can understand it, you'll understand the one great challenge that every single new grower has to overcome. So the cycle has three key stages. First, inoculation. That's when you introduce the mushroom culture to its food. Then colonization, where the mycelium just grows and spreads through everything. And finally, fruiting, when the mushrooms actually pop out. And this whole process is way faster than you might think. For something like oyster mushrooms, you can go from that first injection to your first harvest in as little as 3 to 5 weeks. It's an incredible thing to watch.
Now, here's what's really interesting about all this. The biggest challenge isn't really the growing, it's the competition. The big boss, the dragon you have to slay on this journey, is contamination. You're in a constant race against other tiny organisms, and the main villain is this aggressive green mold called trichoderma.
So here's the crucial point. Your number one weapon is just a solid commitment to being clean, especially during that initial clean handshake of inoculation. Seriously, think of it like you're a surgeon. Every single surface, your hands, the bag, the needle, has to be sanitized. If you get this part right, you are 90% of the way to success.
Okay, so you've mastered cleanliness. Now we get to the really exciting part, choosing your crop. We're going to look at picking the best mushroom varieties that give you that perfect balance between being easy to grow and having a high profit potential.
This chart breaks it down perfectly. You can see how different mushrooms offer different levels of challenge and, of course, reward. Oysters are the absolute easiest way to start. Shiitakes are a super reliable moneymaker. And lion's mane, well, it's a bit more of a challenge, but it opens the door to that premium medicinal market.
You know, if you ask pretty much any expert out there, they'll all tell you the same thing. Start with oyster mushrooms. Why? It's simple. They grow incredibly fast. They're super forgiving if you make beginner mistakes, and they love to grow on cheap stuff like straw. They are the perfect mushroom to build your confidence with. Hands down.
Okay, so your grow bag is now this solid white block of healthy mycelium. What's next? Let's walk through the final steps to trigger the fruiting and get you your very first delicious and profitable harvest.
Now this part is really cool. How do you actually tell the mycelium it's time to make mushrooms? Well, you kind of have to shock it by introducing it to a totally new environment. One with cooler temperatures, super high humidity, and lots of fresh air. You basically trick the fungus into thinking it's found the absolute perfect spot to reproduce.
And you'll know you have the right amount of fresh air because your mushrooms will literally tell you. If you see a layer of white fuzz at the base of their stems, a condition that growers call fuzzy feet, it's a totally harmless but very clear signal that CO2 is building up. They're basically screaming, "Hey, I need to breathe down here."
All right, you've harvested your first crop, you've got the bug, you're hooked. Once you've mastered growing in bags, you can start to scale up to maximize your yield and your income, even if you're still working in that same small space.
The real key to scaling up in a small footprint, like a garage or basement, is to stop thinking flat and start thinking vertically. And the absolute best way to do that is with a mushroom tower. Instead of growing across a flat surface, you grow up a column, which multiplies your potential harvest from the very same square footage.
And as you can see, building one yourself is surprisingly simple. You can make one with just some basic materials. By layering your substrate and spawn into this mesh column, you create a system that can yield up to 4 times more mushrooms than a flat method in the exact same footprint. This is how you go from a hobby to a real business.
We really hope this explainer has planted a little seed of inspiration. If you're excited to see your own mushroom farm grow, you can help our channel grow by hitting that like button and subscribing for more guides just like this one.
You know, starting small with a simple, pre-sterilized grow kit can launch a super fun hobby, a new source of amazing food for your family, or even a profitable new business. All it takes is that first step. So the real question is, what are you waiting for?